just start by saying I had a very cordial and productive meeting with Majority Leader Flanagan. It's really the first time we've had a chance to sit down one-on-one and spend real time, and I thought it was very productive. Good exchange on a whole host of issues, and we've certainly agreed that we're going to be talking more often and reviewing a lot of issues as this session proceeds.
Mayor, welcome to Albany.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Let me ask you, this morning JACO voted to make PR firms register as lobbyists. I'm just curious your reaction to that, and would it make you, dissuade you from meeting with, let's say, Berlin Rosen more often if it had to be disclosed?
I've got to see what they did. I don't know specifically what they did, so as soon as I get a chance to look at it and digest it, I'll be happy to give you a comment.
Do you think the city is coming out net positive, net negative, or neither?
Well, as I said in the hearing, I thought it was a very productive hearing. Long, yes, but very productive. There's a lot we don't know about this budget. There's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of areas where we need to hear more detail before we can judge this budget, let alone the comparison to previous ones.
What do you think about the focus on the property use firefighters to shovel the driveway?
Hold on, please. Hold on.
Senators were questioning you a lot about the property tax. In fact, while you were testifying, they went in the Senate and passed a one-house bill that would extend the property tax cap to New York City. Were you prepared for that?
Look, I hadn't heard as much of it previously, but that being said, it seems to me we're talking about an ideological difference that's not surprising. And I thought, look, the hearing indicated some of the realities we live with in our state. There are partisan differences, there are regional differences. I still think it was respectful. I think it was a pretty informed and fair hearing. And I told them exactly what I thought about why the situation in New York City made clear to me that that was not a good idea and not a productive idea for our future. But I thought it was a perfectly fair discussion.
Did
Senator
Flanagan, in your discussion, say that he would, anything explicitly linking the cuts in Medicaid that Governor Cuomo has proposed to the Senate Republican desire for a property tax?
Not at all. Not at all. We touched on the Medicaid and CUNY cuts, but there was no linkage made whatsoever.
Can you characterize what he said about
No, I'm not going to characterize a private discussion. I think it was a very productive
What
conversation.
is the status of the talks with the governor's office on those two issues?
As I said in the hearing, we look forward to hopefully having some more formal discussions starting next week with our budget folks sitting down, including Mr. Houlihan right here. And look, there's a really important discussion to be had about ways that we can look for reforms and efficiencies. But that's just beginning. It's going to, until we have that conversation in earnest, I can't tell you more about where it's going to go.
Could you talk to the Senate President about whether you get involved in the races in 2016?
I won't go into a lot of detail. I'll simply say I think he's quite familiar with my partisan affiliation, and I'm quite familiar with his, and it's very respectful. The bottom line is, at the same time, we have work to do in terms of our government roles, and I think there was a real commitment in the meeting to working together despite whatever is happening in the context of an election year.
Did you discuss mayoral control?
Yes, we did. Again, I'm not going to get into detail, but what I said to him was that I am certainly ready and willing and able, if any hearings are called related to mayoral control, whether they're here or whether they're in the city, I'll happily attend personally, and I'll give as much time. I think I proved today I'll give as much time as is needed.
A one-year extension this time around?
I don't want to predict. I would say I've made my argument already about why I think longer term is appropriate and historically grounded, and I'll make that argument in great detail if hearings are called. But I think we're at the very beginning of a session, and there's plenty of time for dialogue.
Mayor, are you surprised that issue didn't
Hold on, I'm coming around. I'm moving geographically here.
Are you surprised that issue didn't really come up in the 5 hours of questioning? It was a lot of focus on other things. I know it's a big priority for you.
Yeah.
And you've implied in the past
Yes.
that perhaps it was politics and not pedagogy that's in the way. I mean, do you think that kind of came through?
Politics
today?
and not pedagogy. That's very
That's
nice.
what they pay me.
We'll borrow that. I was surprised it didn't come up more, but again, it's a perfectly valid conversation. It's worth. I think it's a great conversation to talk about why mayoral control works, because in my view, it's one hand clapping. There is no other system that's been proven to work, and I'll happily have that debate with anyone and show them the things we're doing to increase the graduation rate, raise test scores, fix schools that have been previously failing. We are happy to have that conversation. Didn't come up so much before, but I'm looking forward to an opportunity to do that more.
What are the discussions
discussion's been like so far, the $600 million in sales taxes that the state is trying to claw back? I mean,
Well, again,
walk that back as well, or clarify?
I've certainly spoken to the governor about it. Dean's spoken to his counterpart about it. We put it out on the table today very clearly, and I thought the dialogue on that was also an informed dialogue. From our point of view, it's quite clear. A Court of Appeals decision is a pretty straightforward thing.
Do you think you have to consider the 2% tax cap now that you're hearing about it from both sides?
No, not at all. I think the question is what's right for New York City. It's not right for New York City. And by the way, I heard about it from a lot of Republicans. I heard about it from maybe a couple of Democrats. I would say the vast majority of the Democrats would not agree, and certainly the vast majority of members of the Assembly would not agree. So, no, of course, we're going to say what's right for the people of New York City, and it's not the right idea for the people of New York City.
Mr. Mayor, you have to go.
I thank you. I was going to call on you, Karen. Thanks, everyone. This way? Oh, I'm sorry.